So today my video is on fixing this Mira Events XS thermostatic power shower. Now the difference between a power shower and electric shower is a power shower has hot and cold feed, and an electric shower has a cold feed and has a heating tank inside. All this does is this increases the pressure and regulates the temperature. So it's got a temperature knob on here, but that is controlled using a mixture of your hot and cold water in there. Now the problem I'm getting with this is you switch it on, it makes a noise. Don't know if you can hear that, but nothing is coming out of the shower head. Pipe's connected, water's on, and it just stopped all of a sudden. So it was working, had a shower, switched off fine, and then it went dead. So I'm going to have a look inside, see if I can locate where the problem is. Now, I have read that on a lot of these, the solenoids go. The solenoid is effectively just a coil that creates like a magnetic movement in the valve. So inside here at the back, there's going to be a solenoid. So I'm going to show you how to quickly just open it. So I've already opened mine up. So the first thing you do is there are a couple of screws at the top. You can see I've already taken it out. There should be one there, and this is a Phillips head screw. Another one on this side, and again there is another one just here at the bottom that I have taken out. Now before you do any of that, I would suggest isolate all your electrics that come to it and just check it from here to make sure it's off. Make sure that the water coming into the shower is off as well. Now, I know it's going to be hard because there's no water coming out, but if you do have some isolation valves, I would say switch them off before you go any further. Once you've taken the screws off, guys, there is this cover. You can just pry this cover off with a little screwdriver, or if you've got a special tool to pry off these plastic covers, you pry that off. Once that's off, whatever you do, there's probably this warranty label which says void if removed, so don't touch that. So you see this clip here, the curved smaller one. So you've got the long curved one and the short curved one. So what you need to do is you need to pry that up a little bit and pull this forward. Now I've already done mine because it is a little bit difficult and it's a bit tricky. And if you can't get enough pull on it when you've pried that up, just pull the bottom of the cover out and it will do the same thing. So once you've isolated the power and the water, just give it a test. As you can see, it's not doing anything. There's no water coming out of there, and there's no sound. Now what you want to do is, before you take this cover off, just put these in a position, both of these knobs, in a position where, well, actually it's just the top one, in a position where you can remember when you slide it back on, it just makes it easier rather than fiddling around with it too much. So I'm just going to put that all the way onto the minimum, and this will come off. So we can put that back later. And now the front cover will just pull off. So I'll just pull that off. Okay, so now the cover is off. Now you can see it probably looks really complicated inside for those of you who are not really familiar with opening up showers or feeling a bit scared. It might be an idea to stop or get somebody in to help you with this. So I'm going to show you where the solenoid is and the valve that it controls. So here you can see these two wires coming in that control the solenoid here, and this is a valve, and there's a little shaft inside the center of this solenoid, and it controls a valve that opens and closes here. So what's happening is the water's coming across here and the valve is shutting off. Now I tested this out just to check what is happening with this open. Now I wouldn't suggest you do this, but if you are safe and you want to do it, I don't take any responsibility. But what I did was I powered it back up, put the water on, and here, where is it? Here is your start stop switch. So you can put the water on, or I wouldn't suggest, as I say. I put the water on, put the electrics back on, triggered that. Now what should be happening is the water should come in from here, across here, into this chamber which regulates the temperature, then up into the pump, across the pump, through this valve, and then into the tank before it comes down the shower pipe. So it looks like it's doing all of that except for filling up this tank here. So powered it up, water on, switched it on, no water coming into here. Now, how you know the water is in there is when it is fully working, when you switch off the shower, you find that it still trickles a little bit. And if you drop the shower head to lower than the level of the shower, you'll see it still carries on running. And that's just the water draining out of this tank here. So the next step, to take this apart, you've got I believe it's a T15 Torx screw here. And that is holding a ring on. You can't see it very well. Let me just see if I can put my light on. There we go. So there's the T15 Torx, and at the top there isn't. There's just a kind of like a pin that's just keeping it in place. And this is just a clip holding these two together, and they're held in there. There is a rubber washer in there, and the other bit we want to take off is this tank, which is again held on with this T15 Torx screw here. So unscrew the shower pipe, take these two off, and once that's off, be careful because this clip will fall off. Before you do take those screws off, it might be worth putting something on your drain cover, or put a drain cover on your drain, just in case you drop a screw and it goes down there. You don't want to lose these screws because I don't know where you're going to get hold of a new one. So it's this one here, which is T15 Torx, and this one. And once you do that, this will all become really loose. And you swing this up, the bottom will pull down. I know it's here on a compression, it's held here on a compression clip, but for some reason it should just slide out. So if you just twist it a little bit, that will come away. Once that comes away, this should twist enough that it pulls away. So you've got to take these two wires out. If you want to label them left and right, this is the time to do it, just to make sure that they go in the right place. And I'm just going to remove those screws, and I'm going to show you what comes next. So I've now just removed this lowest Torx screw here and this one here. Now I'm going to show you this clip coming off first thing. So once you've removed that, this clip just comes away. Now you need to make sure you get that back in the right way when you do put it back. Now I know it's easy because you can see the one behind here on the other side that's actually mounted as part of the frame will help you to kind of get the same way back in. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. So keep hold of that. Now at this stage, if you do want to have a clean out, if you take, just make sure that you have isolated your water before you do this. But here, there is here it even tells you shut off supply before opening this. But if you open this screw and pull this away, there's actually two filters in there for your hot and cold water. And what happens is the water goes into the filter and out the sides, and this can become a little bit clogged, especially if you've got a lot of lime scale, or even if there's any dirty water coming in from your hot water tank or any sort of debris from that. This stops it from going into the shower and damaging any other bits in there. So it's worth taking that off, giving it a good rinse and a clean, and then put that back. Now when you do put it back, make sure it is nice and tight, because it needs to be a watertight seal, because if any water starts coming out of there and hits any of this electrics later, you will be in a lot of trouble. Right, so next thing, I'm going to take these wires off. It's just a matter of pulling them. One, and now I'm not marking mine because just the way the lengths are, I'm not really going to move them around too much. You can tell which one goes where. All right, so that's off, the clip's off, the pipe's off, screw down here is off, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this water bottle down, as I said. As you can see, I'm just twisting it and pulling it, and it's coming away. There we go. Right. Now just be careful, there might be some washers that fall out. There is a rubber washer here. On here it's nice and snug. Now be careful, because that tank might have a bit of water in it. As you can see, it's just going to start dripping out. Just drop that in your shower tray, or bathtub, wherever you've got this. And then this is where you can pull this a little bit forward, and you can see that it's just started coming away. There you go, there was some water in there. Now there's your sign to say that the problem is in here somewhere, because water came out of the top, so it's filling up to here and not going any further. So if you got that, if you had the same thing, some water came out of there, might be a bit of water here, so get some tissue and tidy that up. But if water's coming out of here but you've got no feed into the pipe, you know it's something to do with this. Now, how to check this? I know you can put electrical testers on here on an ohm meter across this, and you should get about 4 ohms to say it's working. Now I did that, and I'm getting about 3.6. Now I don't know if it's working or not, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to order another one of these. They're relatively cheap. I found them on eBay. I haven't asked any of the local plumbers around if they've got it, but I thought it's quick enough. I've been without a shower for a couple of days. I can wait a couple more days. Now I have got an alternative. I've got a bath with a shower in it, so I'm all right. So I'll be using that. But this is the bit that we want to replace. Now I'm going to take it off. Now all that happens is this piece pulls away. Don't touch any of these screws, because these screws are for the valve in here. Now what happens is, you can see there's the bottom of the valve and it's sealed. And what happens is this valve gets pulled up when power is put across this solenoid. It creates a magnetic field and pulls that valve open. At the moment it's getting stuck in a shut position, so this isn't working, or this is getting blocked. Now to check it, you can just put a little screwdriver up here and see if it moves quite freely. So when you touch it, it will only move about 0.5 centimeter up and down. It's not a big opening, but when it touches there, if you just give it a little push, if it doesn't feel hard to push up and pull and drop back down, then more than likely it's going to be this solenoid that needs replacing. And to remove that, all it is just pull it. You can see that there are these plastic clips. You can squeeze them in a little bit here at the top. So this plastic bit is the top of the valve shaft in here. So you just need to pinch them in a tiny bit and pull this brown piece and the silver piece. Yours might be a different color. And then I'll put a link below in the description of what this is. I'll put a link to where you can buy this, and hopefully it will be easy enough. So I'm just going to pull it off and show you what is going on at the next step. Okay, so as you can see, I've taken the solenoid off this, and this is the valve that will open and shut. And here you can see there's a spring in there and the actual mechanism that gets pulled up and down. So I'm just going to put a screwdriver in there to see how tight it is. Now I have already checked this, so I know my one's running reasonably free. So I'm just going to put that in there. And if I just push it gently, you can see that going up and down. Can you see that? Now there is a little bit of water in there, so I'm not really sure if the water is getting in the way. I wouldn't have thought so, because it's moving freely enough. And if that opens, I would have thought that would work fine. So anyway, guys, I've ordered a new solenoid. It'll be here within 1 or 2 days. If you order it early enough, I think the supplier said that they'll ship out same day if you order it before 3 p.m. and they're going to send it first class post, so I should get it next day. Now I've ordered mine in the evening, so it's got to be a little while for mine. So here's the solenoid. This is what it looks like. It's got a hole in the middle. Mine's got this little notch that sticks out, so you know which way round it goes when you put it back in. It's going to go in that way. With the it's going to go that way. So that valve is going to face to the left. That's going to face forward. When I put it back in. Now it was quite easy to pull out. I didn't have to actually squeeze these top pins. I just pulled it. It came halfway, and then I pulled it a bit more, and it just came out. So let's give this a go. If this works, then this is in the region of about 11 or 12 pounds to fix a shower that potentially, if I change the whole thing, which I was thinking of doing because it is quite old, it would have been around £200 plus whatever labour to replace it. Okay guys, so the new parts arrived. Now, I did order just this solenoid initially, and it works out that that wasn't the issue. So the only other thing it could be is this valve. So I managed to get the whole unit, solenoid and valve, because I couldn't get the valve on its own. And this was around £40 from the internet. I'll put a link below for that. Now it does come with another ring there, and also another plastic washer that can clip that tank on. The tank, I've still got mine in, as you can see, because I set it up with the new coil, put it all together, and it's doing the same thing. It came on once, and I think what it is under here there is a rubber seal, and I took this apart and I found that there's actually a split in the rubber seal. So I think what's happening is the water's coming in from here. Because there's a split in that rubber seal, the water is coming up and above the seal where it shouldn't be. And what that's doing is that's causing this valve not to move up even when the solenoid is powered. So I guess that was where the problem was. So I'm going to put this in. Now it's going to be the same instructions. The only thing is you don't have to put this back together, but that was easy. That was just a push fit. And it's just a matter of putting this, in that position again. So let's put it back. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this. Now this is going to be a little bit fiddly because you need to get this into there, but you also need to get this edge tucked in. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little notch in that white plastic bit at the back. I'll show you from the bottom, and at the top you can see that little. So it needs to get into there, and also the same on the black clip that fastens over the top. So I'm just going to try and install that, and I'll show you when it's in position. Okay, so it's in position. It wasn't as difficult. All I did was I grabbed a hold of this, the pump here, pulled it a little bit forward, and it had a bit of a wiggle on it. And when I pulled it forward, it gave it enough space just to push it on into position. As you can see, it's locked in pretty firm there. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to get this black clip in position. Now I'm holding it in the right way, just so you know which way you want to be putting it on. When you do put it on, it should just slot into place and snug in place. If it's the wrong way, it won't sit comfortably, so just try it the other way around, and then we'll fasten up this screw. Now I'm not going to fasten up the screw yet. I'm going to put the tank on because at the moment it's got a bit of a swing at the bottom and everything's a bit loose, so it might be easier to put the tank back on, then do the screw, and then do the screw for the tank at the bottom, and then we're going to put the pipe back on. So I'm just going to reassemble that because this is the easy part now, guys. And after I've done that, I'm going to put these wires on, so when we come back, all of this will be reattached. As you can see, I've put this screw back on. Before I put that back on, I put this tank into place, and it was just a matter of pushing it into the pipe here and just wiggling it around a little bit. If you try turning it a little bit and spinning it, it sort of goes on a lot easier, but just be careful because the first time I did it, you could see the little the black rubber washer, and it's like a little ring starting to squeeze out from the back, so it wasn't obviously catching properly. So I took it back off and put it back on, and you can see there is a tiny gap here. I think it was more or less that. But when you do put it on, just make sure that when it's on, this screw hole lines up perfectly before you put the screw in. Don't sort of force the screw in. This should be in the right position straight away. The new solenoid valve complete system is in. I've put this clip back in, just focusing on that. So that clip is back in. As you can see, it's sealed in nice and tight there. Make sure that that's all sealed in. The wires are back in, tank's on. Now you will get a new clip. This clip comes with this set. I didn't use it because I didn't need to even remove it. It just slid down and it seems to work. This screws back in and this pipe is on. Now guys, at this stage, do not power it up. I would not recommend you do this. I'm a bit of a crazy maniac, so I'm going to fire it up, but I know where the electric parts are, where the water is, so I'm not going to electrocute myself. I wouldn't recommend you do this. I'm going to now put the water and the power back on, and fingers crossed, this has fixed the problem with the shower. Right, so the power is on, the water is on, and I'm going to just press this button which fires it up. I'm going to see water filling into this tank if it's all working. And there you go. And water is coming out of the head. I've got it pointing the wrong way. So let me point it into the shower rather than out onto the floor. And we can see that coming on. And that's working absolutely fine. There we go. So water is filling in the tank. When I switch it off, the water drains through up to a certain point. No more water's coming in. Stopped in the shower. Let's do that again. Now I'm going to test it out a few times, because if it isn't this, I will know by just a few switches on and off. There we go. Shower's on again. So that's it, guys. We have fixed it. If you have any questions, because I know this is a complicated repair, I'm happy for you guys to send me a message. If you look on my page, on my bit that tells you all about me, you can see my email address if you want to send me any direct emails regarding this, or any photos to help you along the way. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I hope this has helped you save a few £100 or even do it yourself. But remember, I always recommend turn off the water and turn off the power whenever this cover is off. I'm going to put it all back together, and I'm just going to do one more fire up if you still want to watch. If not, you can cut off here, guys, just to make sure that it still all works with the cover on. Okay, so the cover's back on. So it was pretty straightforward. Slide the cover on. Remember, this was off. So just get that back in position. Give it a little bit of a hard nudge, and it clips back in. Make sure this was in the right position. I've now turned it back. So I had this on my minimum. I've turned it back to wherever, and you can actually feel it because it actually has a little click around this point. And I think that is the ideal pressure. I don't know why that's there, or it's just to say anything over that is going to be hard. So on-off button, and then put this cover back on. So let's fire it up. So switch it on, comes on. It's all working perfectly. So really happy about that, guys. As I say, any questions, please, you can put comments below, or you can send me a direct email. If you see my about page, you'll see my email address there, and hopefully you'll save some money like I did. Thanks again for watching. Bye.